Hey there, welcome to my channel. Cerise here, and this is Storytime. I gotta tell you, this story time is twisted. For those men that have a woman and you're afraid that she is going to cheat on you, listen to this and tell me what you think about it. And if you're a woman and your man does not service you completely, listen to this and tell me what you think about it. Well, it's morning here in the Dominican Republic, North Coast. I'm located in a little area, neighborhood called Los Chiramicos in Sosua, the Dominican Republic province called Puerto Plata. Mm, I'm having a little coffee right now because it's very early in the morning. Pretty soon you're going to hear the roosters doing their cock-a-doodle-doo. But before we get into all that, let's get into this. All right, so let's give the characters names. There's three characters. Let's call the girl Tawny. We'll call one of the guys Tommy, and we'll call the other guy Timmy, just for namesake. All right, so Tommy and Timmy, they grew up together. Good friends, went to high school together, and went to college together, and they did a lot of sharing women. Just put it that way. So Timmy, he was always the dude that was more of the crusty one. He had no problem taking Tommy's women. And Tommy, he was more playing the field when he was in college, and he really just wanted to have fun, study, and get things straight in his life when it comes to business and also being settled, secure, and knowing what he wanted in life. Now, Timmy, he just kind of coasted his way through college. He wasn't as serious and he actually flunked. He didn't graduate with Tommy. So, Tommy was very good in business. He graduated with flying colors. And when he got out of college, he started to travel the world. And he traveled the world with his dad because his dad was a very good businessman. And him and his dad were quite close. Now, he always kept in contact with Timmy, and he would always make sure that when he was back in town, he would let Timmy stay at his place. And Timmy eventually started to drink a lot more and than they did in college because they did a lot of partying in college. But Tommy, he was more focused on business and making money. Timmy, he was still a guy that needed to grow up a little bit, still in the immature stages of life. So now the two of them, still Bati and Bench, still gin and juice. Like these two were still always together. Tommy never judged Timmy because he knew that Timmy had a good heart. So now Tommy, his dad had to do some business here in the Dominican Republic. And his dad said to Tommy, listen, get down to the Dominican Republic for me. I need you to oversee a few projects and, building projects. And I need you to, just kind of get down there and settle things out for me. Make sure that everything's getting dealt with right away. Tommy listened to his dad because his dad is a very well respected person and a very well respected builder. And speaking of building, just a side note, I'm starting a subcontracting building business for you guys coming down here to build. So look out for that video coming out. All right, so Tommy's dad sent him down here. Tommy came down. Now, Tommy knew he was going to be busy, and he knew that Timmy was unemployed. So he thought he would hire Timmy on to do kind of like the grunt work. And so Timmy was up for it. Timmy was like, what? Grunt work in the Dominican Republic is not the same grunt work that you would do in the United States. So he was up for it. He came down here with Tommy and he had free room and board. Timmy was excited. So after about 2 months, the two of them were doing very, very well. Timmy was getting paid, even though it was grunt work. Timmy was getting paid very well. And he was saving all his money because he did not have to pay rent. He did not have to pay for food. Absolutely nothing. Tommy's dad footed the entire bill. So Timmy was living the life of dreams, and so Tommy, he was happy to do that for his buddy. But now, after being here for 2 months, Tommy found a woman, beautiful Dominican woman, and her dad and Tommy's dad were partners on a lot of the projects. Now, there was a lot of building going on, and Tommy was more the overseer. Now, the daughter of Tommy's dad's business partner, she was Tawny. Let's call her Tawny. Tawny was beautiful, never had children, but she was more or less the one who was overseeing a lot of the work crew. She was making sure that the work crew was like she hired on the proper people. So she had a pretty important job as well. So now her and Tommy did a lot of work together. And one day he said to her, he's like, you know what? I'd love to invite you out to dinner. And she went out with him. The two of them fell in love. They fell in love and they were together. Now, after about 6 months, they're living together, all three of them. Timmy, he's living like in the guest house, and Tommy and Tawny, they're living in the main villa. So now, you know, they're all getting along. They're at night, they're having barbecues out back, and they're having, you know what? Put it this way, it was like Timmy and Tommy were living their college days again, but also making really good money and being very serious about life. So Tommy, he trusted Timmy with Tawny. He really thought he could. So, of course, he would leave them alone a lot of the times. Now, Timmy, knowing Tommy, he knew that Tommy never liked to go downtown on a woman, if you know what I mean. Please take your kids out of the room. This is not a story for the children. So, let's pause for the cause. Let me have a little sip of my coffee and let's go on. So now, Tommy, he trusted Timmy and Tawny as well. One day, he had to go back to the United States. He had some other business to deal with other than the projects here, and his dad really needed him back there to get started on something because this was somewhere in another country and they had to meet with some bosses from another country. Now, this was before the world changed, so obviously, Zoom meetings weren't as popular. So Tommy flew back to the United States. Now, Tawny and Timmy, they had a few drinks, and Timmy said to Tawny, listen, I know Tommy doesn't go downtown. I've been friends with him long enough now to know there's the cameo from the rooster. He just woke up. So, Timmy's like, I know Tommy well enough now to know that Tommy's not going downtown on you. He's like, listen, I would love to do it. I'm very good at it, and you deserve it. I won't tell him, and you don't tell him, and he won't even know. Tawny was like, no, no, no. She was like, absolutely not. I will not. I love my man. So, Tommy got back home and he finally, you know, popped the question to Tawny. He's like, you know what? I want to marry you. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Let's get married. And so she was like, absolutely. She was getting really comfortable. She felt comfortable with Tommy, and she really did want him to go downtown on her. She That's something that she really liked in her relationships, but she couldn't get him to do it. He just was not into it. He was not going to do it, and he was adamant about it. He didn't want to do it. It wasn't his thing. He said he did it before and he had a bad experience with it, and he can never get that out of his head. And he knows that his girl is clean, but it's just something that he doesn't feel he needs to do. And he never expected her to go downtown on him either. He just really liked making love. And that was his thing. He really enjoyed her body. And that's all he ever wanted. Hey, it doesn't, some people are like that. Some couples don't even do that. And it's not everyone's thing. So now let's fast forward a little bit. The projects are done, and Timmy, he's still here. Tommy decided to also stay. This is his main base now because he's going to be marrying his wife. They have a very beautiful villa, and he didn't feel the desire to go back to America. But yes, he still had to travel the world for different business meetings with his dad. Timmy, on the other hand, he was never going to leave the Dominican Republic, and he still hasn't. No desire to leave and go back to America, even though his passport has expired. He does not care. He's working on his residency here, and that's it. So, throughout the last while, he's dated a few women and he's, met a lot of beautiful women. Dominican women are gorgeous. And he's met a few Barbie dolls, let's say it like that, because that's exactly how a lot of the women look here. They have beautiful hair, beautiful eyes, supple skin, uh, great figures, and he went through a lot of them. But none of them were Tawny. He felt like Tawny was a good one, hardworking woman, good cook, wonderful housekeeper, also good at business because remember, she works with her dad as well. So then, one day he was just like, Tawny, Tommy is never home, which was true. Tommy was home for a week and then he was gone for two. He was home for 2 weeks and then gone for three. He was rarely home. And Timmy and Tawny spent most of their time together. Tommy trusted both of them, but then Tawny broke down and she allowed Timmy to go downtown. And both of them were around the pool. It was after a hard day of work for Tawny. And, she had a couple of drinks and she was really missing Tommy, but she felt like, how could Tommy not be cheating? He's always gone. Who services him when he's not around? And Timmy said, come on, Tawny. What do you think? He's going to Japan and China and Thailand and the Philippines and Vietnam, and he's not getting his pipes cleaned. And she's like, well, I don't know. And he's like, come on now. He's not that busy. But he was that busy, and he didn't have time to get his pipes cleaned. He was with his dad all the time. And his dad was also a very loyal husband, too, because he had his wife, Tommy's mother, and Tommy's family was a very tight knit family, very close and very loyal, very Christian, and Tommy would never ever cheat on his girlfriend, but Timmy convinced her that it would be impossible for him not to, and she fell into the trap of missing Tommy and wanting some loving and being drunk. And Timmy went down on her, and that was it. They were doing it all the time. Tommy got home, and they were still doing it. See, so even when Tommy was home, he always had his own little schedule. So in the mornings, very early in the morning, he would go 5 o'clock in the morning. He would run down all the way around town, and then he would go and dive in the sea. After he ran, he would go for a nice coffee, and then he would go back to the villa. That's what he did every single morning. He would also do the same thing in the evening. So as soon as the sun was going down, he would do it again. He would do it at sun up, like sunrise and sundown. And every day he did that. Well, one day, they did it while he was like sundown. He would just go and Tawny was like, okay, hurry up, come do it quickly to Timmy. And then one day Tommy, something told him go home early. Intuition. Not just women have intuition, men have it pretty strongly too. So he decided to go home early. When he went home early, he saw something and he felt something. They were a little too close and they were acting a little too strange. And although she was wearing a bathing suit, they were by the pool. And although she was wearing a bathing suit, it seemed like, she was fixing it a little too much, like she was pulling it back over when, like, over her bottoms there when he was going in the house. And so he asked them, he's like, is everything okay? And he said, Tawny was like, yeah, oh, yeah, of course. And she got up right away and she went into the kitchen. She said, I'm just cooking. And she continued to cook. He knew it was a lie. So what did he do? He waited till both of them were out of the house the next day, and he had a crew go in and put in cameras. He was not fooling around. And of course, when he went on his next vacation, those cameras were on his cell phone. He was able to watch everything in his house from his cell phone, and he saw what he was expecting. Now, they weren't intimate with each other in regards to penetration, but they were definitely doing it every single day. Timmy, it was like clockwork. Timmy would be, after they would eat, they would go in the pool, and she would sit at the end of the pool, and he would go do it right there at the end of the pool, and then that's it, like for about 5 minutes, and he would get off just knowing that he pleased her. Timmy would. Now, that was pretty much it. Tommy was hurt, but in his eyes, he felt like, well, Timmy was getting the short end of the stick because his wife was just using Timmy for something that Tommy wasn't doing. So Tommy was kind of cool with it. I don't know if all guys could be cool with it, but I guess he saw it like, you know, his wife was kind of half cheating. So one day, um, Tommy got home and he went down to the sea one morning, and the waves were really, really strong. And something told him not to go into to the water, but he still went into the water. And the waves just sucked him up and pushed him back and pushed him forth. He almost drowned, and people had to run into the water. Luckily, there were two fishermen there because it was very early in the morning. And the two fishermen ran into the water and they saved him. Now, he had to go to the hospital and he stayed in the hospital for the entire day. Tawny was shooken. She was really shook up. She was scared. She knew it was a very serious situation. He even was scraped from rocks and everything. It was a bad situation, and it scared her. She thought she was going to lose Tommy. She really did love Tommy. She was only letting Timmy do that to her because she liked it so much. But Tommy was the love of her life. She loved him. And so, when he got back home and he was staying at home, he was in bed for a good 7 days. He was also shook up. He couldn't even work. He knew he almost died. So he just stayed home and he watched TV, and that was it. Even his dad came down here to the Dominican Republic to oversee him for a couple of days just to make sure his son was all right. His dad and his mom came, and they also have property here, so everyone just kind of stayed low. And they were just, very thankful, very grateful that he was alive. And then after 3 weeks, he went, because he stayed down and out for a week, but he stayed in the Dominican Republic for that time for 3 weeks. He went back to work after a week, but he did everything online. He just he could not get himself to leave and go to the business meetings that he had planned and scheduled because it scared him, almost losing his life. And I know a few people that almost drowned here, and I know of a few people that did drown, and sometimes they can just get swallowed up by the waves, and that's it. So what happened was, um, after 3 weeks, he decided that he was ready to go back to work, and he went back to work, and he left the island. Now, when he did, of course, he had the cameras and everything, and he watched on the cameras as much as he could. At this point, he couldn't even care less any longer, because almost losing your life, I would assume it would make you care about a whole other kind of bag of tricks, You kind of look at life a lot differently. And at this point, he couldn't care less. And he was thinking to himself, maybe Tawny is not the right woman for him. And he was thinking that he would have to make some serious decisions when he to came back to the Dominican Republic. But one night he kicked his feet up after business meetings, and he decided he was just going to watch to see what was going on. And she was refusing Timmy, and Timmy was begging her. And he was like saying, "Come on, come on. So who cares? Tommy's not dead. Like, why are you acting like he's dead?" And she said, "I don't care. I love Tommy very much. And I feel like it was God's way of showing me that I could lose Tommy at any time. And I don't want to cheat on him, because if anything ever happened to him, I would feel guilty for the rest of my life. He's a good man and we love each other." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you and this Christian stuff. Like, you weren't Christian before he jumped into the sea and almost killed himself. And she was like, "He didn't almost kill himself. It was a message from God to tell me to smarten up." And he's like, "Oh, maybe it was a message from God for Tommy to stop being so selfish and start servicing his woman better." And she was like, "No, no, no, I'm not doing this with you any longer." So every day she would just get home from work. She would go into the bedroom and lock herself in the bedroom, turn the TV on, and go to sleep early. Some days she would just go to her dad's place and sleep there. So Tommy saw this. Tommy saw it. And so one day, when she was on her way into the house, she had to go home and get a change of clothing. Timmy met her at the front door. He heard her car pull up because he was in the casita, the mini vacation, like the side house. The guest house is where he lived. And he went to the front door and he said to her, "Tawny, you know, like, I don't know why you would treat me like this, but I'm going to tell Tommy everything. I'm going to tell him that we even slept together." She said, "Listen, you can tell Tommy everything because I've been thinking about it and I'm going to tell him myself." And he's like, "Oh, come on. You're going to tell him that I just went downtown. Tommy knows that if I'm going downtown, I'm going in." And she's like, "You can tell him what you want, but I'm going to risk it. And I know Tommy will believe me." And he's like, "I'm going to tell Tommy everything." So Tommy got home from his business meeting, and he drove home from the airport, and he had a rental car. He wasn't even telling Tawny when he was arriving back home, because he wanted to surprise her. He was happy for her. Even though she allowed what she allowed to happen, he knows for sure that the penetration never happened, because their conversation on the steps confirmed it. and he knew that Timmy never penetrated Tawny. So he was kind of happy with that. So he got home and Tawny was home and Tawny was like, Tommy, I need to talk to you. And he was like, about what? He played dumb at first. And she was like crying and crying. And he was like, he didn't even want it to come out of her mouth. He just didn't even want her to admit it. He just wanted to tell her that he knew. So he said, listen, I put some cameras up in the house because he also felt guilty for putting cameras up, you know? And he said, listen, I put some cameras up in the house. I know what you're about to tell me. I don't even want it to come out of your mouth. I love you. And I know you love me. But, I don't think I've been treating you the exact way you want me to treat you. I've been a little selfish. And, Timmy stepped in. He saw a weakness and he stepped in. He said, I know you never slept with him. I know that. And, I can't promise you that you and I are going to do that. I can't promise you that I'm ever going to do that to you. But I am disappointed in you. But I think we can get past this. And she was like, we never slept together. We never did it in the bedroom. It was always by the pool. And he said, I know, I know. So she's like, well, Timmy's going to try to lie and say otherwise. And he said, don't worry. I'm going to wait for it. So the same day, Timmy wanted to get revenge, obviously, immediately. So Timmy thought it was going to be a bro before hoe type of thing. So Timmy knew that Tommy was home. He went through the pool yard and he kind of, the sliding glass sliding doors were open and he yelled inside and he said, hey, buddy, you're home. And Tommy was like, yeah, what's up? How you doing? And he's like, I didn't even know you were coming back. You didn't let me know. Tommy said, well, I wanted to come home and surprise Tawny. Timmy said, okay. He's like, listen, buddy, I really need to talk to you. You think we can go to the guest house to my place and, sit down, have a drink and a cigar and talk about a few things? And Tommy was like, yeah, let me just, you know, grab a drink and I'll meet you there. So Timmy went back to the casita, and when he was at the casita, he had big plans to tell Tommy. And so Tommy shows up to the casita. He has his drink and he has his cigar. And so he sits down and he says, so what's up, buddy? What do you want to talk to me about? Everything cool? And Timmy says, no, I have something to tell you. Tommy's like, what? Everything all right? Do you need anything? Like, just let me know. I have your back. Timmy's like, oh man, you're such a good guy. And, I love you. I love you like a brother, right? Tommy's like, yeah. Tommy says, tell me there's nothing wrong with your health, man. Now, Tommy's just playing it off because Tommy is easing him into it, easing Timmy into it. Tommy says, I wouldn't be able to know if there's something wrong with your health. And, you know, buddy, like we've had a long time together. We've had a long run together. And Timmy said, no, it's not that at all. He's like, you may be upset at me. He said, but I know that you'll forgive me. We're like brothers. He said, I know that for sure. He said, but he said, your woman, she came on to me. I was drunk and we just been fooling around. Tommy said, what do you mean she came on to you? Timmy said, it's just one day we were by the pool and we had a couple of drinks. You were out of town and she told me that you don't go down on her. She told me that you don't do her right. And so, me, I I'm a dog and I I ended up giving in to her pleas. She was pleading and pleading with me, and I, she was begging me, and I couldn't. After she pleaded for about the fifth time, I was drunk and we made love. And he said, Tommy said, "What do you mean you made love?" And he said, "Yeah, buddy, right in your bed." And I can't deal with it any longer. I can't wrap my mind around it that your woman is like every other woman. I thought she was different. And, Tommy was like, "Yeah, I thought she was different too." And Timmy was like, "Yeah," he's like, "But there's a lot of women out there. But us, we have a friendship that no woman can break it. We have that code. And that's why I just wanted to let you know I can't let this go on any further at all." And Tommy said, "Neither can I, buddy. Neither can I." And he said, "Listen, we've been friends for a very, very long time. And you know that you're like the brother I never had. And I love you. I love you. And I love Tawny. But at this point in my life, I'm not looking for a brother. And I know the truth. I know my wife never slept with you." And he's like, "Don't call me bra. I have video cameras all around the house. I know what's going on. And I know you tried to blackmail Tawny. I know you were the aggressor. I know you were the one that initiated everything. That's not what brothers do. I was not doing to Tawny what she was wanting me to do. And you were convincing her that I was sleeping with women around the world on my business trips. And you know full well that's not my style." Timmy was like, "Oh, come on, man. Come on. What videos do you have around the house? When did you have time to put video cameras up? You're never here. You're just believing Tawny over me. She told me she was going to tell you." And Tommy looked at Timmy and said, "Timmy, it's time for you to go. You have some good amount of money saved up. And, I know you need a job. So I'm going to keep you on the payroll for another 3 months. And I'm going to encourage you to start your own business while you're here and work as your own business. You have enough connections here now. You know enough people. I set you up really nicely. And I know you're a hardworking person. And when it comes to business, you're good. So, I'm just going to tell you that I think that's what you need to do. But when it comes to me in my life, I don't want you in it any longer. I can't trust you, and I wouldn't want you around my children in the future." Timmy was like, "Man, don't do this. She's only a girl. She's only a woman. What are you doing? We go back so far." And he said, "Yes, but you knew Tawny was special to me. You knew, and you lied on me, and you tried to convince her that I was doing things behind her back. I needed you to take care of my woman while I was gone, not service her." And that was it. Timmy cried a little bit, because it really did hurt him. It hit hard what he did, and that he wasn't going to have his brother any longer. But he was at least thankful that he did have a nice amount of money saved up. And he went and he got himself a little apartment, tiny little place on Pedro Clasante here in Sosua. And this situation happened in Punta Cana. And he couldn't stand to be in Punta Cana any longer. And when he was offered the job here in Sosua, he came here right away. And this is where he's been ever since. He feels sorry for everything. He doesn't know how he could ever make it up to Tommy, and he won't be able to make it up to Tommy. Tommy has disconnected completely, blocked Timmy from everything, all social media, end any phones. And anytime he tries to call the office phone, he's not he's not able to talk to Tommy. He tried to talk to Tommy's father because Tommy's father was once a father to him as well. Tommy's father loved Timmy. It was like a second son for him. But once he found out what Timmy did, he too disowned Timmy. So that was it. I guess at the end of the day, Timmy learned his lesson. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think down below. It would be quite interesting what you think in regards to Timmy and Tommy. If you were Tommy, what would you do? Oof. Ladies, wouldn't you be so fortunate to have such a good man? Oh my gosh. So I guess Tawny will never do that again. And hopefully Timmy won't either if he ever finds another friend like Tommy. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Cerise, and this is Storytime.